All right, everyone. Well, welcome to those who are here. I'm really excited to be having y'all join us today. My name is Travis Becker. I use he and they pronouns, and I am the director at the Lionel Cantu Queer Resource Center at the University of California, Santa Cruz. And I am really grateful and honored to be sharing virtual space with all of y'all today. And I want to turn it over now to my partner in programming extravaganza-ness, Taylor from the Career Center.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here tonight with all of you. My name is Taylor Nagel, she, her, hers, and I'm the events coordinator for the Career Success team at UC Santa Cruz. And just really excited that this Queer Career workshop series is happening. And this is the last one of this academic year, but hope to have many more to come. So I hope you all enjoy.
Absolutely. So just a few quick reminders again to everyone. Please make sure that your mic is on mute. Please do know that the program is being recorded. So if you need to adjust your name and or your camera settings, please do that. And so for those who aren't in the know, this is the third installment of our Queer Career series of the year. The Career Center and the Lionel Cantu Queer Resource Center have been proud to bring this series to y'all. And for this third iteration, we were actually really thrilled to partner with the African American Resource and Cultural Center at UC Santa Cruz to bring a very, very special episode of the Queer Career series. So today is BOI Meets Career with our special guest, Evolve Benton, and a panel of fantastic folks. So without further ado, I'm actually going to turn it over to two of the interns at the Lionel Cantu Queer Resource Center, Mars and Adan. Mars and Adan will serve as our MCs for the evening. So Mars and Adan, I will let y'all take it away from here and introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Travis. My name is Adan. I use he and pronouns. I'm the advocacy and outreach intern at the Cantu, and I'm going to be emceeing with Mars.
Hey, y'all. I'm Mars. I use they them pronouns. I'm the lead Perms Events intern at the Lionel Cantu Queer Center. And thank you for coming. So to start us off, we will be introducing Evolve Benton. Evolve Benton, they, them, theirs, is a writer, speaker, and healer that has a special passion for social justice.
Evolve identifies as a Black queer boy, aka born obviously incredible. Evolve is a prominent writer, speaker, and racial justice educator. Evolve currently serves the University of California School of Medicine as their inaugural Equity and Inclusion Program Manager.
In 2018, Evolve published their first poetry collection, Sir, poetry dedicated to boyhood and Black queer love. Also, they co-produced their first independent film, The Boy Doc. Evolve describes themselves as an artistic spirit using creativity as a form of liberation.
Evolve earned a Bachelor's of Arts in Communications from Dillard University and a Master's of Arts in Clinical Psychology with the LGBT specialization and Master of Fine Arts from Antioch University of Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us, Evolve.
Thank y'all. I appreciate that. Can I take it away? Is that the handoff? Okay, great. Good evening to everyone. It is 6 o'clock. I was about to say good morning. You know, Zoom time. In the quarantine, everything feels about the same time. So I want to share my screen with you all because the beginning of our program is going to be a bit of a PowerPoint where we're going to talk about a few things and then we'll jump into the panel. Right. Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Great. Feel free to speak if I ask questions, but you can also utilize the chat button. I can see you all, which is great. And I also can see the chat. So welcome to BOI Meets Career, Queer Career Discussion and Panel. I am Evolve Benton. And today we are going to jump into a few things. We're going to start off with a guided meditation by myself to just get us grounded in the space. I realize that although today we're talking about career and leveling up, right? We're also in a time where a lot of people don't have jobs and aren't very grounded because of what's going on with COVID-19. So I think getting grounded in this conversation to be able to not only talk about our careers and being queer, but to also just be able to build community is important. So we'll start off with that. We'll do some introductions. I'll give you some of my LinkedIn tips that, you probably could find on Google, to be honest. But I'll give you a little bit of the queer lens and how I've been able to utilize it as a professional. And then I'll talk about queer professionalism, and we'll jump into a stretch break and the raffle. We have some amazing things to raffle off, so we're really excited about that. And then we'll jump into the BOI Meets Career panel, Q&A, and raffle at the end. So BOI Meets Wellness, you can find the podcast at boimeetswellness.com. It's a MAR media production. So we produce and publish uplifting stories, art, and journeys of queer and trans people of color and people who make their lives incredible. So that's MAR Media, that's BOI Meets Wellness. If you're interested in being on the podcast or sharing your story, just hit me up. My email is evolvebenton@gmail.com, and I do answer those emails. So if everyone could just get grounded where they're at, I'm going to turn on a little bit of music to take us into our meditation. I invite you all to close your eyes. Place your feet on the ground if possible. Hands in your lap. Just breathe normally, but recognize your breath. I have so much gratitude for the way that the air leaves my nose. Today we recognize that there is so much uncertainty in humanity, but so much certainty in our own personal journeys. I give gratitude to the universe, my ancestors, and the life force that allows me to show up here and now for you all today. Continue to breathe normally. If your shoulders are tight or heavy, this is a great time to loosen them and just relax. We are all here and now for a reason. Today, we ground and open our energy fields for knowledge and community. Today, we ground ourselves and open our energy field for knowledge and community. I now invite you to join me in taking a few moments to simply just sit and ground. I will continue to play the music and mind our time. If your mind begins to wander, I invite you to ground yourself in this statement. Today, I ground and open my energy fields to knowledge and building community. Join me in this moment. I'd like to welcome you back to the space. Take a moment to notice the rising of your chest and the power of your breath. When you feel settled, open your eyes. And when you return back, please type in the chat, here and now. When you return, please type in the chat, here and now. How was that for folks?
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Trying to add a little well-being into all of our moments nowadays. So thank you all for sharing, for being a part of that moment. So I am Evolve. My pronouns are they or them. I have over a decade of a lot of experience in doing a lot of gay jobs. I used to always tell folks I get paid to be gay for pay. But a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion work. I'm a published author, which means that I have self-published my own book, which is really, really exciting. I'm a podcast host, a virtual event curator now, thanks to COVID-19, and thanks to all of you folks. HBCU graduate, anybody, Dillon University, Woot Woot, New Orleans, Louisiana, and a diehard Laker fan. This is actually a Laker hat, but I decided to turn it around because my dear friend Lex Kennedy is here, and you know, we're rivals. I don't want any hostility. So I thought we could do a group check-in. I think it's about 28 of us. So we're gonna do this in a unique way so that we don't lose track of time. So if possible, can you please put your name, pronoun, and location in the chat box so we can see where folks are, who you are, and get to know you. And if you have a piece of paper or a tablet, a coloring book, I would like you to do a drawing activity. Draw a picture of your dream career, and we will share as a group. So you're gonna draw that, and then we're gonna share it up against our screens in gallery style so that everyone can see everyone's drawing. So it's a two-step process. The first process is I would like you to put your name, pronoun, and location in the chat box. And then the next thing is a drawing. And take that as you want, your dream career. And some people are like, well, I never wanted a career. What did you dream you would do when you grew up? How would you feed yourself? There we go. I kept moving around because I was looking for the chat.
All right, getting some messages from folks that you're only able to send chats to participants are only able to send chats to the host. So I'm going to try to mess with the settings right now. Stay patient with me real quick, y'all, while I try to figure out how to make this work correctly.
That's great to know. I just thought that no one was doing the check-in. So thank you so much, Travis.
I believe I changed the settings, so you'll just need to click the 2, and if you can send it to everyone, let me know.
What was that, Taylor? I apologize.
I just changed the settings.
Okay, great. Can folks test? Okay, great. Looks like it's working now. Awesome. Thank you, Taylor. Everybody say thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor.
All right, take it away, Evolve.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Taylor.
thanks, Sage, Carlos, and Lex, and everybody else who brought that to our attention. Appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all. All right, we got Riverside in the building, Santa Cruz, St. Helena, California, Santa Cruz, LA, whoop whoop, Oakland, okay. Santa Cruz in the building. Sacramento, whoop whoop. Chicago, okay, we out there. San Jose. Y'all repping too. I like people who are getting really excited about repping where they. Houston, Texas, yes. Send me some crawfish. LA, whoop whoop. Okay, great. Santa Cruz, great. I hope y'all drawing while y'all typing too. This is like a 2-step process. So we're gonna share our drawing soon. I actually should draw. I didn't do the assignment, so I'm gonna draw what I thought I would be. It's pretty simple. Thank y'all all for bringing that to our attention and also for checking in. I really appreciate it. I know this is not the most fun way to do it, but I think it'll help us get into our content. Zami, Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, I'll give folks another minute and then we will put our drawings up on the screen so everyone can kind of check it out. And make sure you keep it up for a moment because there's quite a few of us on here. So we want folks to be able to check and view out everyone's drawing. Camp Meeker, amongst the redwoods. Ooh. Okay, so let's put our drawings up so folks can see it. Mine's just kind of abstract. Let me put y'all on gallery view so I can see everyone. Oh, cool. If you feel comfortable, turn on your camera. Put your drawing up. If you have a filter on, it's probably going to be blank like mine is, which is weird because we have a background. Okay. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your screen, do you mind dropping in the chat box what your dream career was? And then maybe we could share that with some folks. These are some really good drawings. Y'all are some amazing quick draws. I see y'all. That's a skill, y'all. We're going to talk about skill set later on. That's a skill. So cool. To be rich with a hot husband is somebody's dream. I know that's right. Someone said they drew on their phone. Okay. If y'all could see, mine was kind of like y'all can't see it, but it was jail bars because I thought I was going to be a lawyer. So I put bars up. That was a job I wanted. Paramedic, yes, saving lives. I drew a frog with a cowboy hat and a horse. I feel that. You dreaming the leap and the ride.
I love that.
Would anyone else like to share? Someone said, luckily I am my dream job. Okay. Music educator. Okay. We need y'all. Food justice advocate or nutritionist. Beautiful. I didn't even know what a nutritionist was when I was coming up. I just thought we all eat the same. Scientist, inventor, artist. Okay. Make my own schedule as a birth worker near the ocean and love a community full of love. I love that. Interior designer. Okay, come through, Carlos. I might need to hire you in a few years. Let's call that into existence. Okay, great. I'm looking through to see if anyone else has a drawing I didn't see. I just wanted to help people. That's real. That's real. That's beautiful. Okay, y'all. So we're going to move along. Thank y'all so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. If you are able to, give yourself a pat on the back or a round of applause because, you know, you did that. You did that. So let's jump into LinkedIn, this fancy thing, right? So according to according to Business Insider, LinkedIn is a social media platform that is geared to professionals to enable you to network and build your professional portfolio, right? So it's supposed to be an online portfolio. A lot of people think it's a resume builder. It's very like, are you on LinkedIn? Usually that's what people ask you when you're applying for a job, right? But people don't normally mention it as much as like Facebook or I would say Instagram in their journeys. So it's also a space where you can find people from very like seasoned in their role to folks who are really new and minted, as Business Insider likes to call folks. They claim to be the world's largest professional network. I always say claim to be because, you know, you never know. Might be someone else out there, but I think they're pretty big with nearly 675 million plus users, over 200 countries and territories in the world. Their vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Actually, that's their vision. And then their mission is to keep it simple, connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. So the reason I'm going through this with y'all before we even jump into anything about LinkedIn as far as strategy is because I think it's so important when we're talking about our career and our journey for us to really investigate why we're joining a network, right? Like, is this something that we want to be a part of? What's our why? There's so many opportunities besides LinkedIn, but I think LinkedIn is a good place to go if you want to be recruited, if you're trying to build a brand, if you're trying to build a network for yourself. But it's really important to know your why. Are you building it for your own personal brand? Are you hoping to be recruited? Are you recruiting others? Really thinking about it in that way has shifted my personal connection with it. When I got on there in the beginning, it was primarily to find work. And now that I'm a consultant and also have a day job, I'm on there to spread and show people my brand and connect with people, right? So it's my headline shifted, everything shifted, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's so important to know your why when you're getting on any of these social networks. And I think that when we think about it more personally, it's often connected to our personal identities, but it's even more important when we're thinking about our professional journeys because oftentimes because of social media and because we're now in this virtual realm, our professional and personal lives easily merge together, right? Like you can have a personal Facebook and not expect it to sooner or later maybe pop up on your LinkedIn. There's ways you can stop that from happening, but it's definitely possible. So we're going to talk a little bit about the steps, right? So the first steps is knowing your why. We just went over that. The second step is to build your LinkedIn profile. And what I mean by that is not just, throwing a picture up and thinking that that's the only thing you have to do, but really throwing up a picture that attracts your why, right? So if I am, for instance, an athlete, I might not post a picture of me rocking out with a guitar, right? Because I'm not trying to pull in people who will notice that I'm a musician. I might pose a picture of me dressed professionally if I'm looking at a management position, or I have a friend who actually plays international basketball, and he has a picture of him in his uniform, right? To show that he's active, to show that he's in shape. So we want pictures that attract our why, right? If we're a recruiter, maybe we want to look more professional. We always want to make sure that we're being authentic, especially when we're queer, right? Because often what I see is people posting pictures that might not be how they would show up for their job interview or show up in that environment. And we really want to give that to folks, but we also want to make sure that we stick within the industry that we're trying to get into. Let's try to make our headlines more than just a job title. And what I mean by headline, it's right here, where Janet Mock has writer, advocate, and author of Redefining Realness. I think that's amazing because I'm like automatically, what is redefining realness? And I want to jump into her brand and get to know it a little bit more. Turn your summary into a story, and I'm going to show you a screenshot of my LinkedIn profile next, which you'll see a small version of my story. But we're going to use it as an example, and I actually think it could be a lot better. I think the cool thing about LinkedIn is that they continue to add things on where you can make your profile better and more, I wouldn't even say better because it's not really good or bad, but I think more accessible for the network that you are trying to attract or for the people that you're trying to recruit for your business. So now they have on there that you can take skills assessments, which are very attractive to recruiters to be able to see what your skills are. This is very, very good for folks who are doing service-like work, whether you're a photographer, a designer in the tech industry. Being able to take a skill assessment and people knowing where you're at before they even make that call or try to recruit you is very powerful. So this is a snapshot of my LinkedIn profile today. That's me. I got the Born Obviously Incredible branding going, of course, which I try to continue to push out to everyone. It says I'm a motivational speaker, a podcast host, a writer, and then a diversity, equity, inclusion educator. I would say these are a bunch of different jobs, but I think what I'm hoping to communicate to folks are my different expertise. But I have been told by someone who's more of a, I would say, expert that I could flesh that out a little bit more. Maybe I would say, get from Janet Mock's profile and say that I'm author of Sir Volume 1 or a production assistant of Sir Volume 1, or I don't know, maybe I would connect it more to my actual product, or I could say I'm an owner of a clothing brand, which is Boy Gear. So that's some way that I could adjust my profile. I have here my bio and my about, but it's not really a story. It really just talks to you about the work that I've done. So that's something that I want to flesh out. I really like folks who are able to put links. So I've attached my website here. As you can see, mine doesn't say anything about UCSF when you first look at it, and I did that intentionally because at this time I'm not looking for another full-time job, but I'm looking for consultant opportunities, right? So I want them to very much go to my professional website, to click onto my company, and to get to know me. So chose to use myself as an example of ways that I could fix it up and ways that you all can increase and level up your LinkedIn. The other thing is I have my pronouns. Some folks have this on there. Some folks utilize that section, which is usually at the end of your name when you're creating your profile, to put their degrees. And I always say, go back to your why. For me, as someone who's doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work, it's important for me to include my pronouns because of the people I'm trying to attract, but also to be clear so that people, when they come to me, they know how to approach me. For other folks, it might be more important that people know other things about them. Perhaps they want to put MD because they're a physician and they really want folks to know about their specialty. So really connecting it back to your why is super important. I'm just going to stop right here and ask if there are any questions that folks want to put in the chat before we move on to step number 3.
Do you have a professional LinkedIn, like the pro page, or is this the free LinkedIn membership account?
This is just a basic LinkedIn page. Yeah, I haven't paid for it. Are you talking about the paid version?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't have that. I have not tried it. I heard that you can totally try a trial of it. I haven't heard that I think that for recruiters, it's a little bit better, better opportunities. You get to see more profiles. So I would say if your industry, like if you're constantly clicking on people and not able to get in their network, looking into maybe doing a trial around that and seeing what other functions you can utilize on LinkedIn. But as far as me, I've always used the free version. I try to use free as long as I can. And if they have an opportunity to use it for free, I do it. And then I cancel it as soon as. And if they accidentally charge me that month, I simply call them and tell them it was an accident, because I don't like to get charged for stuff like this. But yeah, this is the free version right here.
Thank you.
No problem. So I'm going to move on.
There's another question in the chat.
Is there? Okay. Would you recommend, okay, there we go. Would you recommend self-titling as just student if you don't have an official job or career? No, I would not. I would recommend centering it around your why, right? So yes, you're a student, but what are you looking for experience in, right? You could say something like future researcher of COVID-19, looking for summer research, something that gathers people to know what you're looking for. I wouldn't just put student. If I was going to put student, then it would be also things attached to what type of student you are. So are you a student studying chemistry? Are you a rising senior? Connect what you're doing right now to what you want to do in the future. But I would not self-title as students. Many folks do that, and I understand that where you're at, maybe in your why now, that's okay. But if you only have up there that you're a student and where you go to school, is it really an opportunity to utilize the network? Or are you just creating another profile to exist on? Now, if you want to utilize the network, as soon as you start networking with other people that you might want to do research with, or maybe practice with, or be mentored by, they're going to go to your profile and want to know more about you. So your profile is an opportunity to really shine. So I wouldn't simply put student. I would put what you're good at, where your skill set is, or what you hope to be. I had published author written on things before I was even published, because I knew I would be. And it was about me manifesting and calling that abundance in for myself. Some folks would say it's a lie, but it wasn't a lie, because I had already published work. I just didn't publish a book yet. And I felt once I published a book, it felt secure enough for me to put it on the website, put it on my LinkedIn. But that's something that I have been telling folks for a while. So we want to really get comfortable giving ourselves props. I feel like that's something that I've struggled with as a queer professional, patting myself on the back, pumping myself up, and really talking about myself in an incredible way. So thank you so much, Don, for your question. Anyone else before we move on? I'm going to move on, and I'm going to ask you about questions at another opportunity as well. So step 3 is to build the network. The thing that I did with my LinkedIn was I created it probably maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even longer than that, to be honest. And it was just there sitting. I hadn't done anything with it. I had old jobs on it. And then one day I got on and I had all these like people trying to connect with me from college and here and there. And I missed out on some opportunities, to be honest with y'all. Several people hit me up about coming to their campuses or about sharing my work. And I hadn't been tapped into my LinkedIn. So I didn't even know that the network was building around me. So I say that to say that when you do put it up, make sure that you're checking in with it. You don't have to become a social media addict and try it every day, right? Like, and do it every day, but maybe once a week, just checking in to see how your network is building. So the first thing that I did when I got back on LinkedIn was I followed relevant influencers in my industry. So I really looked at other folks who were doing diversity, equity, inclusion work on other campuses that I knew. I followed them. I followed some wellness and fitness experts that I really like and that I appreciate, because I do have a wellness podcast, and those are folks I want to bring on to interview. I followed a lot of LGBTQ centers because I wanted to make sure, and that's the other thing, you can follow organizations and people on LinkedIn. I wanted to make sure that I was on top of the work that they were doing and that they were able to see me. So depending on your why, and you can really think about that for yourself. And I ask you to dig deep with that, and we'll talk a little bit more about like how your why is not just connected to your career or your title, but your overall lifestyle. But really thinking about who are the top people in your industry, what are they doing, and looking up ways to get involved with their work on LinkedIn. Endorse others and ask for others to endorse you. This is very, very important on LinkedIn. That is what I would say pulls your profile up for other folks to see you, is when you've been endorsed, but also when you endorse others. And when you create your profile, you'll see more of that information. I will send you a one-sheeter. Actually send it to Travis to send it out to folks who are registered so that you can see some of the links in the videos that I got to put together this presentation, but also to build up my profile. And what I mean by endorse is you're endorsing folks' skill sets. So you're looking at if someone's a good public speaker or if someone is really good with community. That's the type of stuff we want to do to endorse. You want to personalize your connection requests. So when you're sending that connect or follow, like on other links and other social media sites, it's just like, I think you're cute, I think you're cool. But a lot of folks who are recruiting people want to know why you want to be a part of their network. People send me stuff all the time because I've put up on there that I'm a consultant, and they often ask me these various questions about like, where do I see myself in 3 years? And I can automatically tell that they're coaches, which if I was looking for a professional coach, I might go for that, but I often ignore that because that's not personal to me. That's just like kind of creepy. You ask me about my destiny. So I don't answer those questions. But for you, if you wanted to, you could make that personalized when you send it over to Janet Mock or Laverne Cox or whoever else you might want to work with to connect with them and make it personal about your why. And then we want to make sure that we are publishing our articles and sharing our other media on LinkedIn. They have a posting space and also a space where you can publish articles just like on Medium or any other website. And if you know that your industry is on there, your influencer are on there, you've already built your profile, there's no reason why you shouldn't be a part of the conversation and start to share articles. I share my podcast, they're on there all the time. And it amazes me how many people I've intersected with that are interested in that I didn't even think would be a part of my actually ideal audience just by sharing it to my network on LinkedIn. So I'm going to go through this slide and then ask for questions. So if you have anything else for LinkedIn, just please hold it and we'll get to that. So this is a section about queer professionalism, which I don't believe in queer professionalism. I feel like professionalism is bullshit, to be honest with y'all. I feel like it's created by white supremacy, and I feel like it's a structure that doesn't allow people to grow. But what I do believe in is that we have to build strategies around it because it gets our folks paid, and it's a way that we build resources. So this is queer professionalism, AKA what I wish I knew. And this is just some tips that I came up with for y'all based on my 10 years of experience working in my industry and also just being a queer, trying to hustle and get paid and take care of my community and take care of my family. So your why should always be connected to the lifestyle you want to live, right? So if I knew for myself, I want to live in Maui, I have to budget, strategize, and manifest that dream. It can't be something that I'm living with as an ideal, and I have to structure it around a job, right? or a business or an investment that will pay for that dream. So really thinking strategically. I have friends who were, when I was in college, they knew they were going to coding school because they knew they wanted to make a lot of money to do certain things, right? Like they really planned out their career. And that's something I feel like I didn't do for myself. My stuff was very much based on passion, which is great because I'm very passionate. I'm very good at what I do. But I think in hindsight, if I was thinking about like lifestyle, I might have taken some other steps to maybe not pick up student loans or to do various things in my career journey to be able to live more authentically in the space I want to live. As far as dress code, I say be authentically you, but dress for your industry, right? So show up as yourself, but always think about the industry that you're stepping into. Where I see a lot of folks get pushback is when they go into parts of the community that might be not ready for queer folks, homophobic, and we really have to think critically about, like, when we're stepping into those systems, are we prepared to be the change agents that we have to show up as, or are we not, right? And sometimes that can impact our experience. So we have to be very clear on our why we're stepping into the space, and often build a lot of resiliency just around dress code. I often share the story of my dad when we were together once when I was getting out of undergrad. He told me I was going to have to wear a dress to get a job. Never wore a dress, always had a job. But it was a clear conversation where I understood that he was coming from a mentality that he grew up in and trying to give me advice. You know, at that time I took it personal, but I also knew that authentically I wasn't going to show up to that job every day in a dress. So there was no point of me doing that. So I give you the same advice to really think critically about how you can do that. Interviews are a two-way street, y'all. So if you go into an interview, you are interviewing that employee, you're interviewing your boss. If you don't have an opportunity to really ask them the questions you want, check in with those questions before you accept the position. And be really, really clear about your team and who you're working with, right? Because those folks, especially we're seeing even now with COVID-19, those folks can really support you or make your experience very unhappy. So we really want to be clear about who we're working with. As far as money, always ask for more. Always ask for more. Even if you think they're giving you too much, you ask for more. And you get used to asking for more because we're always paid lower than others, right? And sometimes it's scary, it's intimidating. Oftentimes I'll go back and forth in consulting emails. I'll write down the number, go back and erase it, write down another number, go back and erase it, until I feel comfortable, right? And then I send that off. And it's amazing to me how oftentimes they give me what I want, or they give me more, actually, right? Because I'm not willing to put myself out there. Sometimes I limit my own abundance. So I tell y'all that, I preach that. I tell folks this all the time. I even tell my colleagues at work, please ask for more. They're not gonna just ask you if you want more. You have to step into that. And that's in all industries, in all fields. And your network levels up your network. So be a good colleague, boss, business owner, friend, be a good person. There's a lot of folks that I've worked with in my journey, and I really appreciate them. They're on this panel tonight. And it's because we've been able to build rapport that we're able to be here today, right? So we really want to be good colleagues, good bosses, good business owners, and good friends in the work that we do. These are my tips for professionalism before we jump into the panel. But I wanted to answer some questions. I see that there's one in the chat. Can you talk to tips for negotiating salary and why it's important to negotiate? I kind of just went through that. But yes, the importance is, okay, so let me tell you this story, and I'm being really transparent with y'all. I got some colleagues on the phone, so this is interesting. When I first started at the UC system, I was given a salary. And everyone who works at the UC knows how this works, right? Like once you're locked in, it's hard for you to level up. So I started at UCLA, and I remember this moment because this is a moment I did not ask for more. My first boss, he gave me a salary, and I was like excited about it because it was more than I was making, but I was thinking I should ask for more. And I asked him, so can you see if they can give a little bit more? And he was like, I don't know, because this and that. And I feel like that was a power moment in our relationship. He's a very abusive boss. And I said, okay, that's fine. You don't have to do it. Now we're 6 years later, and I'm still in the UC. And the money that I would have allotted for is the money that I most likely will get probably taken away from me if we're furloughed in the next few months because of all of the financial things going on with COVID, right? So I'm already looking back to 6 years ago when I didn't ask for more and how it's impacting my finances today. So it's important that you ask now so then in the future you have more to advocate for. And people are often like, why is capitalism? Why do we want all this money? Why do we want more money? I totally get that. But we got to realize is the rent's going up, resources is going up, food's going up, and our communities are also very disadvantaged. So oftentimes we have to support one another. So the more that I make, the more that my people make. The more that I'm able to eat, the more that my people are able to eat, right? So thank you so much for asking that, Kai. Any more questions? And feel free to write in the chat. If you're not able to write in the chat for any reason, I know it can be hard on your phone. I'm down to hear your audio, and then I want us to jump into a break. How did I deal with my anxiety when asking for more? That's a very good question. I still get anxiety about asking for more, and I think that the way that I deal with it is by literally walking away from the computer or conversation. Like if someone gives me an honorarium, I'm like, okay, yep, that sounds good. Or I'll say, can I have a moment to think about that or some time to think about that? If we have a really good relationship, like me and Travis, it's easy because we have a relationship so we can go back and forth and talk about this type of stuff. But if it's new people, to be honest with you, Mars, I walk away, I sage myself. I sometimes sit and drink water. I sometimes give it a couple of days because when the negotiation is on your side, that's the powerful thing about it. Unless you got an offer letter that's going to expire on Friday, you got as much time as you want to think about it. So don't feel pressured that you have to rush. And then I also just constantly, when I'm in those moments and I step away, I think about all that I hold as a queer person of color, how divine I am and how much I deserve this abundance. And those are some things that I kind of sit with myself with so that I know that me asking for more, it will go farther than me settling. So thank you so much for that question, Mars. In terms of dress code, I'm a non-binary femme and I struggle with having people take me seriously when I tell them my pronouns and identity. How exactly should I navigate that via clothing? That's a very interesting question. I think, fashion for me is a way to express myself. Often say that what I see is what other people don't see. Like some days I think I'm looking handsome and other people are like, hey, beautiful. Or I think I'm looking beautiful and other people like, hey, handsome, hey, sir. Right. So I feel like being in this body is an experience of often being uncomfortable. So what I spend a lot of time trying to do is making sure that I do feel comfortable within myself. So doing a lot of well-being practices so that I don't feel that anxiety. As far as people not taking you seriously, I think that is a part of our work structure that we have to constantly reinvent and push back on. I would say, depending on where you're at in the power dynamic, finding your people at your workplace and finding people that you're able to talk to and navigate that maybe can advocate for you if your voice is not being heard. The only reason I say that is it takes a village oftentimes, especially in some of these corporate environments, to make people realize their mistakes and to shift things. And that's very unfortunate, and I'm sorry that you're experiencing that. If you work for me, it would not be going down like that. You better know. But we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there at some point. But I totally see you and I totally hear that. So thank you for sharing. All right, y'all. So I think we should take our break just because of where we are with time. And I want us to make sure we get to our panel. Mars and folk. Is that okay? Okay, great. So let's take a break. Maybe 2-3 minutes. What I ask for you to do is turn off your camera if you can and really take a break. Some people do that break and they just sit in front of the screen. but this is a real break to get up, stretch your body. You need to get a bio break, and we're going to start in about 2 to 3 minutes. So that gives you an opportunity to get bio break and to relax yourself.
What are you doing?
Welcome you back. Hello, folks. Drop a "we here, we queer" in the chat if you back. We here, we queer in the chat if you back. You don't have to put queer if you're not queer. You can put "we here, we black, we here, we fine, we here, I'm good." Just put "you here." It's so cool to see y'all's faces now, because during the presentation I could see half of y'all, but this is dope. Y'all are beautiful beings. Yeah, we here, we here. So I'm gonna hand it over. Mars, who are you co-doing this with? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, Lon.
That's me.
Adon, yes. My
Hello.
apologies, Adon. I couldn't find you on here.
It's all good.
You're better with faces than names, especially on Zoom.
So
I'm excited for our panelists.
same. So yeah, thank you Evolve for facilitating a discussion around professionalism and all the insight you bring from your experiences in the workforce. Now we're going to head into the second portion of our event, where we will be having a live recording of BOI Meets Wellness Podcast with Lex Kennedy, Zami Hyemingway, Dio Aldridge, and Maisha Davis, 4 Black queer professionals who are shifting their careers with their queerness and fierceness.
Yeah. So BOI Meets Wellness is a wellness podcast and blog that shares stories, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as boy, someone who was born obviously incredible. Evolve Benton, the host, facilitates interviews about holistic wellness, financial wellness, pleasure, what brings you joy, and provides tips to build tools to live an incredible life. A new episode is posted every Friday, so check it out at boimeetswellness.com. But until then, please enjoy the live stream with our panelists. I'll start by introducing our panelists with Mars, and we got quite the lineup. So first, Dio Aldridge, pronouns he, él, is a Latinx trans man born in Limon, Costa Rica, and raised in Southern California. Dio currently serves as a special assistant to the Dean and Provost for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the School of Art Institute of Chicago, and is also actively engaged in community organizing as the Director of Program and Operations for Pride Southside Chicago. Dio also recently started Chosen Lifestyle Properties, LLC, an organization that provides sober living housing for individuals who may not qualify for apartments due to socioeconomic status, past nonviolent crimes, or homelessness. Dio also sometimes needs a nap. Next, we have Zami Hyemingway, who is a trans of-center healer, community space holder, and prison abolitionist. By day, Zami works as an outpatient case manager for the re-entry community, working alongside those who are often seen as disposable and unworthy of love and compassion, learning how to heal, thrive, and create a new life for themselves. When not working as a case manager, Zami is a wellness and spiritual coach as the founder and CEO of Spiritus Wellness, which provides a holistic approach to health and wellness for marginalized communities. Zami has a master's in social work, a master's of art and social transformation, is an IFA initiate, ordained minister, as well as a certified professional trainer and nutritionist. You can find Zami's free wellness tips via his weekly Wellness Wednesday videos on Instagram. Zami believes that if we focus on our individual as well as collective healing, then we will begin to create a world with more love, authenticity, and kindness.
Thanks, Adon. Now I will introduce Sir Lex Kennedy and Maisha Davis. Sir Lex Kennedy is a writer, director, and producer, born in a highly religious family to a single mother determined to give her children a different life. Sir always pushed back on every box he was being socialized to fit into. Learning the power of his voice and advocacy through art, Sir was able to define himself and design himself to be the creator he is today. Sir Lex Kennedy is a vegan, queer, transmedia content creator who loves film, music, gardening, and the beach, and believes a ball is life. Lex studied comparative women's studies and film at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, before being forced to leave and finished his studies at the Los Angeles City College in their film program. As an artist and activist, Sir Lex strives to bring marginalized stories to the center of popular culture through comedy series and documentaries. Sir Lex has directed multiple short films featured in film festivals like Campus Movie Fest and Outfest through their inaugural Outset program and across the world, winning numerous awards. Sir Lex completed a Sound Fellowship this past fall for Disclosure, a documentary which recently premiered at Sundance. Lex worked as a producer for Tribune Creative West KTLA5 in Los Angeles, California. He's currently working for ABC7 Disney until his contract ends due to the COVID-19. Then we have Maisha Davis, family medicine physician. Maisha Davis is a family medicine physician living in Oakland, California, whose educational path has led them through Stanford, Mills, UCSF, and UC Berkeley. They are dedicated to keeping the art in the art of healing by thinking outside the box and centering patients' humanities. Maisha's healing focus revolves around bringing integrative medicine to Black and Brown communities, queer and trans folks, individuals living with HIV, and adolescents. They love music, sci-fi, culture. They want to be a DJ and can be found at innumerable concerts, theaters, museums, and dance parties throughout the Bay Area. We will take a deep dive in these panelists' lives and journeys as queer professionals, and then after that, we will wrap it up with a Q&A. So welcome our panelists, y'all.
Woo! Y'all are so great. Y'all are so great. I'm so excited about this. So I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When Travis was like, I could do a panel, I felt so much anxiety about it being all Black people. And then my partner was like, no, we deserve. And I was like, we do deserve. So seeing the flyer, seeing y'all put that together, it was so phenomenal. And just knowing that I know y'all is so phenomenal. So as we jump in, can y'all just...
And it's not even February.
It's not even February. Oh, Dio! Me and Dio be having praise reports, y'all. So we're going to have one after this. You know we are. So can you just start off, panelists, with, and I'll call your names because we're not in person, so you won't be able to see me. So Zami, can you just start off with your name, pronoun, and what brings you joy?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Zami. I actually don't prefer pronouns, so I go by Zami, but professionally, most people default to he and him, which I'm fine with as well. And currently what brings me joy is really just my spiritual family and extended family. I had a rough 24 hours. And my spiritual family came through and my partner came through, and just I'm an IFA initiate. That's what IFA is. I'm an IFA initiate, and my faith brings me so much joy on a regular basis, and just really came through for me last night. So
Ashe. Dio.
I'm bad at the unmute sometimes, but hi everybody, my name is Dio. I use he and L pronouns. What brings me joy? I love comedy and I love watching funny things. It keeps me going. Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually managing what I go through or if I'm actually just laughing. But anyway, I love, so that, and recently, it was funny, last night I watched a Luther Vandross documentary, and it was just everything that I needed. And it was one of the first times I saw him speak about whether or not he was queer, and he was like, it's not y'all's business. And I was like, Luther. But then, and it was funny because, you know, I'm Latinx and I of course love like Spanish music, and I was sitting there and I was like, Luther Vandross, Juan Gabriel, I don't know, there's some connections there that are hilarious and I love on that SoCal. Yeah, so anyway, but yeah, that's all brings me joy.
Thanks, Dio. Maisha.
Okay, hi, I'm muting. Dio, you're so right. It's hard. I'm Maisha. I use they, them pronouns for the most part, and what brings me joy. I've been doing a lot of dancing in my kitchen because I love music, and spiritually I worship at the altar of house, specifically house music, Afro house music. So I would say that dancing and singing and music bring me so much joy.
Yes, your hair look like it's on fleek too.
Oh my gosh, I twisted my own locks for the first time yesterday. Thank you. It's not as good as Omar, but it's okay.
Yes, I hear that.
Deep sigh.
Deep sigh. Sir Lex, what's up?
Yes. Good evening. My pronouns are he and him. And what's bringing me joy right now is watching The Last Dance. Ball is life for me. I love basketball. Like Evolve said earlier, we do have a rivalry of sorts. I am a Warriors fan, so shout out to everybody in the Bay Area right now. Y'all already know Warriors. So watching The Last Dance has been awesome because we don't have basketball right now, and being able to talk about it has brought me a lot of joy with Evolve on our new podcast, Highly Medicated and Opinionated. So yeah, watching basketball has been bringing me joy.
Oh, I see you, Lex Kennedy, with the plug. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to jump into a couple of questions with y'all. I'm going to do it that way. Just popcorn y'all and call some names. So Zami, what would you say? I know you say your dream job was helping people. So do you feel like that has came to manifestation? Is your dream job connected to what you do now? And other panelists, I'm gonna ask y'all to dive in on the same thing, but I'm just gonna popcorn your name, so be thinking about that answer.
I say, yeah. So ever since I was a kid, I was always just trying to be helpful. I would give people, my mom once was like, stop giving people your money. Because I was that kid, if I had cash on me and someone, outside the grocery store on the corner was like, hey, does anyone have spare change? Other people walk by. If I had a 20 in my wallet, I would give them a 20. And I just remember my mom being like, don't give them a 20, give them that dollar bill or whatever. And I was like, don't mess with my blessing. I just remember saying that to my mom as like a 7 or 8 year old. And, my entire life, it was either I wanted to be a lawyer, but I wanted to be a public defender, or I wanted to be a doctor and work in low income neighborhoods. Like whenever I talked about what type of work I wanted to do, I always wanted to make sure it's with folks who are most marginalized, because that's how I grew up. And now I run my own wellness business, which, as a trans person, it feels amazing to be able to help people around their holistic wellness. And a lot of people look at me and their first response is, oh, how can I get a 6-pack or something like that? And I'm like, yeah, we could work together. And then we start working together and they're like, Zami, I thought we were going to work together. You were going to put me on like none but chicken breasts and rice and broccoli and stuff like that. And, instead you're telling me I need to get Olympia and how to, eat in a balanced way and organize my budget, like just all these things. And, I just get to tell people that, wellness isn't just about how we physically look, it's about every aspect of our life. And so being able to, in many ways, decolonize wellness has helped me begin to live my dream job of helping people heal from all facets of life. And my work with the reentry community, the same thing. I actually recently got promoted to supervisor yesterday. And so I'm a supervisor for the outpatient case managers, and, really being able to talk to folks who have extremely violent backgrounds around like, how do you care for yourself? How do you practice mindfulness and intentionality? How do you shift the narrative? How do you find different forms of masculinity? Things like that. I feel that if by the way that I look, I'm able to connect with people on some of their beliefs that if I didn't look the way I look, they probably wouldn't hear me out. And so really recognizing the privilege I have around the body that I hold and utilizing that privilege to help other communities who wouldn't see me as an ally or see me as themselves shift their behavior to make a safer world for everyone. And so, yeah, like right now I'm able to just help people in so many different ways. And I feel like I'm living my dream job or working my dream job because of that.
Thank you so much, Zami. As I worked with Zami last year, a phenomenal trainer, y'all, does distance training. I miss you, Zami. We'll probably be working together soon because you just gave me a moment and I was like, I need some reconnection on this level. So, Sir Lex, can you tap into that question? What was your dream and are you living it now?
So my dream doodle was a script sitting on a table, being read by the lead character. And for me, I feel like I'm being pushed, thank you, into that dream more because I am saying like by hook or by crook, we are making retros and we're gonna do it. Like I'm giving myself permission. I recently had my contract not picked up by ABC Disney because of COVID-19 and the company hiring freeze. And it really allowed me to like shift and say, okay, like I can put all of these scripts that I have been dreaming about being like this amazing script writer and director, putting them aside to work on producing other products for other companies. I can finally like shift that energy into producing my projects. So for me, the doodle earlier in the workshop is what I'm actually like manifesting currently. The table read that I want to have with the lead character that I want. You know, for me, like I know I want an actor who is SAG-AFTRA, and I don't have SAG-AFTRA money, but I'm not even looking from that space, right? Like I'm looking from a space of abundance, and that it doesn't matter. Like ask that person, you know, you don't know what they're doing right now. If they want to do it, you know, they might be just chilling, reading scripts right now, wanting to be able to stretch that muscle. So yeah, so that's part of me. So am I living my dream? Yes, I'm giving myself permission now to live my dream despite my circumstance.
Praise report. Dio is having a praise dance moment over there. I see you, Dio.
You know, the church.
We're gonna call that into existence today and right now. I can't wait for retros to drop. Lex Kennedy, I can't wait. Maisha, Dr. Davis, did you dream? Did you dream? Are you living the dream?
Oh man, a year ago I probably would have said no. I think it's interesting what you were saying, Lex, because I think this whole COVID-19 situation that we're all going through has given a lot of us space and time to kind of take a step back and look to see, really like make a intentional assessment of where we are. And I do think that I am kind of living my dream. My dream was really kind of just to be a shaman, y'all, and to be able to like dance and sing and like do stuff and do magic and heal people. But I realized I wasn't going to be able to reach my people by doing that in the way that I wanted to. And so I went to med school instead and have found a way to integrate a lot of those kind of artistic elements and a lot of the like holistic elements into the work that I do. And so I was realizing the other day while I was working from home in my sunroom, like sun beaming down at sunset, being able to like talk to this Black woman who I gave my cell phone number to so I could help her through a really rough patch over the weekend, and not being drained by the work that I was doing, but instead being like enlivened by it. That's, you know, I realize I am living my dream. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm helping people, you know, not necessarily curing people, because I think we go to med school and there's a lot of this, oh, well, we have to solve this problem and A plus B equals C. And if we don't get to C, then we failed. And that's really not it. It's like the A plus B is that process of trying to help people kind of achieve wellness in whatever ways that they can. I don't like what Zami is talking about. So yeah, I'm living my dream. Are we all just living our dream here? It kind of seems like, right?
You know, we got to start off with the strength-based questions. We'll get there. So Dio, I miss you, Dio. Yeah. Come back to California.
I miss you too. Trust me, y'all. It's like, it was gray today. It was raining, and I was like, Lord have mercy. But yeah, no, But what am I missing? Am I living my dream? I would say yes. I would say that I have multiple dreams, and I'm living a few of them. I think like I have like so many. Yeah, I'm that person who wakes up every day like, oh man, or maybe not every day, but a lot of days like, oh my God, what about this idea? What about this idea? I think that might be like an artist thing where you have all the things in your head at once and you have to compartmentalize which one comes first, which maybe that's a question I have for everybody at the end of the panel, is how you manage that. Yeah, I think when you initially asked the question, I thought through what my little self would think, you know? And if 10-year-old Dio would be proud of who I am today, and absolutely, because I did not think I would be in this place of my life at all, or that I could be living this open and freely. And I think absolutely living my dream. And I think there's a myth that you hear that, you know, on the other side of queerness isn't like family and love, you know, like the only family that you have is your blood, you know. And I think my dream is definitely, you know, thinking about my partner and thinking about the love that we've created, but also like my family and my people. You know, E's on my screen. I've known E's for a minute, since I was like undergrad, I think. So so it's just a trip to like, you know, have things come full circle, and yeah, it's all love, and I get so much love from like community and people. So yeah, that's the dream. Community people.
Peace, Dio. Peace, Dio. Me and Dio actually met at NASPA, which is a professional conference for higher education professionals. So shouts out to networking. We talked a little bit about that in the presentation. It's more important for me to network with my queer folks than anybody. Like, if y'all go to any of those conferences, go to all the cutie pox spaces, and the other ones, tread lightly. Trust me, just tread lightly. One networking tip for the introverts is just stand in the middle of the room, and all the extroverts will come to you and give you all the tea. You don't have to do no work. Just stand in the middle of the room. They will give you all the tea, come by, tell you everything. So my next question for the panel, and we're going to start off with Maisha, is what is the biggest challenge in your field at the moment? I know, right? I got to start with you on that one.
Man. I mean, working in a system that was already broken at a time of a pandemic where the response has like been completely inadequate and being left to our own devices. I think right now we're really seeing, like, a lot of us already knew that the system was broken, knew that things had to change, have some ideas about the way we dispense healthcare in America needed to change. But now we're just like seeing those downstream effects just be exacerbated by this disease, right? We already knew that lots of people of color, lots of people who've been disenfranchised in many ways have this higher burden of chronic illness, right? And what we're seeing now is that those people are also dying more because COVID-19 tends to kill people who have these conditions, which are really issues and downstream effects of structural racism, which is what our country has been built on. So I think, like, our biggest challenge hasn't really changed. It's just been emphasized by what it is that's going on. And really, like, not having, today is the third day in a row I've worn the same surgical mask at the clinic. And it's not that big of a deal in that I'm not actually seeing very many patients in clinic, so it's still relatively clean, but like, I shouldn't even be having to think about trying to save my surgical mask every day because we're worried about running out of protective equipment to be able to treat people, you know? Like, that's not something we should be having to worry about. That's the least of it. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges now, and really trying to keep up. We get like emails every day with changes in policies, and managing everybody's anxiety around everything has been super challenging as well.
Well, thank you so much for still going to work, still doing the thing, being one of
Still
our
here,
essential employers.
Still queer.
Yes, thank you so much. And I really want to give gratitude to you because you was at work today and you on here tonight. So I really appreciate all that you're giving our community and all that you continue to provide, not just in the clinical environment, but even in these type of spaces. So thank you for answering that. Dio, what about you? What's the challenge right now?
I mean, you could tell me too, in terms of so I have multiple lanes, right? So I have my higher education, right? Working in an art school environment, right? So of course, higher education is hit very hard right now on multiple levels, right? And thinking about students, right? Impacting, of course, their work in the classroom, but also in thinking about Black queer students and thinking about, again, some of the issues that you mentioned earlier, Maisha, right? Like, this is disproportionately impacting certain people. And so that's just, and, you know, big, and yeah, and money and funding, right? And just thinking about how it's going to go where. And I mean, I'm not necessarily managing that part, but I know that the impact of that is essentially going to impact my role and how I work and how I move. So that's, you know, but we gonna make it, y'all. You know, we gonna make it, you know, and we gonna do it. So that's an issue, that's a struggle. And I think, but it's interesting because the work that I do in my housing is particularly geared towards folks who are impacted by socioeconomic status. So like, my mom thought I was crazy, but my mom's a social worker. It's funny, and she is the most well-intentioned person. And when I told her what I wanted to do, she was like, "You need to work with a program. You shouldn't be doing this by yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love my baby, but you know, like I know what you know." And I was like, you know, and I was like, "Mom, you know, my heart's in the right place, right?" And because of that decision, I'm not necessarily like the people that live here are folks who are already in these social structures. So they're looking at me like, yo, I'm actually like, they're looking at me like, I can help you. And I'm like, no, you can't, man. Like, you need to, this is your moment to come up and like, let's talk about how we save now. Like, you know what I mean? Let's work, let's figure this out. So that's really interesting on that tip, right? Because I would think it would be I'm in this very privileged space, and that's very much having a hard time. And then in higher education, and then this world where I created that's not they're impacted, of course, of what's happening, but it's an interesting space.
Thanks for sharing that, Dio. I think that's the importance of multiple streams of income. That was something that was not in the presentation, but I always tell folks, have multiple streams, y'all, multiple lanes. If you got that book or zine you've been wanting to put out, this is the time to publish it. Right? Like just multiple streams of income. So thank you, Dio. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was in a budget meeting today and people were crying. So higher education, it's real. Yeah. It's real, y'all. It's real out here right now. They're very much being impacted by the loss of money from athletics, and then also housing when you think about it, right? Like that's really a lot of the profit. So very interesting time. So Lex Kennedy, challenges.
So for me, a major challenge is taking on LinkedIn, picking up new connections, getting into the workforce. Now being being new to the workforce. I really enjoyed this workshop. I just want to give you props, Evolve, because I'm new to LinkedIn. I'm trying to figure out, I'm watching different videos and conversations and really bringing out the why and understanding, how to craft that why is really helpful for me right now, because I'm looking at how can I build my network to create this series during this pandemic, right? Like, how can I reach out to folks and set up a table read and think of creative ways to promote and essentially shoot this series and bring to light this content that I've been putting aside because I've been working on other projects. So that's like a super challenging thing for me right now. But I'm feeling super empowered by, like I said, watching this workshop and also like seeing different stuff organically happen. I don't know how many folks are like on the gram, but like seeing Club Quarantine pop off the way it did for DJ D Nice. I know we might have some folks. I know Maisha said that they were really into house music and wanted to be a DJ, but I thought it was so cool, right? As somebody who also loves to DJ and loves music, to see, a DJ who probably has lost a lot of gigs, just hop on and provide folks a service for the love of music, right? And that turned into him now being booked with MTV and ABC, right? Disney. I was like, oh, okay, we can get furlough and y'all can, freeze, but you can give. But I was like, no, I'm not even gonna be mad because at least, my man's getting his money. But at the same time, like, it just made me think like, okay, if you are creating from a place of passion, like, what is your why? And maybe for him, it was like, I just want to give people an outlet, and that outlet turned into like him being able to provide that space digitally in other spaces. So I'm just trying to think about like, okay, it's challenging right now. I don't really know what it's like to go get a at-home, at-work production job, right? I'm fresh to LinkedIn, but I have the tools, I have the network like you were bringing up, and, I have folks that are, willing to support and are interested, so like I can make it happen. But it's been like hella challenges, like literally, full disclosure, I never have been let go from a position or been fired. And this is like the first time in life as an adult. And it's just like, wow, this is what this is like. Okay. But because I'm queer and trans and I'm self-made, like, it's just like, okay, We got to start over. Okay, we have the tools. We know what to do. We can make it shake. You got this. It's just like, I have to be reminded, like, it's challenging, but I have this. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Lex, and thanks for your vulnerability and transparency. I got your back. We're going to get retros on the map. Shouts out to Lex Kennedy and the Boy Gear. Shouts out to Boy Gear. That's my clothing brand. And Lex, I would love when we talk about ways to get involved for you to talk about the Film Fest and a little bit about the project. So Zami, last but never least, what are some challenges you're experiencing?
Currently, so on the wellness side, some of the challenges is a lot of folks, a lot of folks in the wellness industry are losing clients and their jobs. So folks who are working in gyms, for example, they can't work. And I'm fortunate enough to have already transitioned out of gyms and do online and distance training. And so I haven't been as affected as some of my colleagues because I had already set up an online structure for my wellness business. With that said, a lot of folks who were on my wait list, because I only work with a certain amount of people at a time, have contacted me as like, yo, I lost my job, or I feel like I might be losing my job. And so they pulled out, which I understand, and I'm not upset about it because I also have multiple streams of income. And, if you are stressed about paying for wellness, and like you're not going to be successful, it's more important for you to feel like you are able to thrive and be able to take care of your livelihood than try to pay me for my services. So when people have been needing to pull out, I'm just like, I understand that. Any of the folks who already paid, I've given them the option of getting a refund or just keeping it there. And when they're ready to pick back up, we just pick it back up. And so that's been a challenge on the wellness side. For my other job, for the reentry population, it's been a real struggle because most of the people who we're working with are fresh out of prison and on parole, don't have ID cards, social security cards, birth certificates, don't have medical cards, food stamps, nothing. And all of these public service or human service agencies are closed. And so trying to get folks who really don't have any of their basic needs getting them met has been a huge challenge, having to be on a call that typically would take 15 minutes for almost 2 hours, having to find different ways to apply for things or find money to get someone's ID card. Because, yes, it's $12, but if you're just out of prison, most folks don't have $12, and we're not allowed to pay for it. So really just trying to figure out how to get people their basic needs, and then also having to explain to someone who spent the last 15 years in prison why they're not able to leave the property, And so working with a population who's been behind bars for a large portion of their life, being released during a health pandemic, a global health pandemic, and then us telling them you're restricted to property, they just feel that they're locked up again. And so having to work with folks around their triggers and trying to build that rapport where, many of them are like, you're just as bad as my CO. And so that's been a real challenge right now, because I understand you thought you were going to come here and be able to at least go to the, QT up the street to get a drink, a soda or something like that. And, you can't go anywhere unless one of us take you, and you have to wear a mask and gloves. And so it's been a real challenge, really trying to figure out ways to get people their basic needs, but also really addressing the emotional needs of a lot of our clients and working with people who weren't given the tools to express or articulate their emotional needs verbally, and many of them wanting to act out either through using or violence, and trying to work with them and teaching them new skills while they're in the middle of detoxing, while they're in the middle of stressing out, while they're in the middle of feeling like they're locked up again.
Thank y'all. Y'all did exactly what I thought y'all would do, which is to show that there's always a bit of challenge in our dreams, right? And I think that that is what comes up in most queer and trans people of color, especially Black folks' journeys. So I'm gonna be mindful of time. We only have about like 20, maybe 25 minutes if we go a little bit over. So I do want to switch over to our Q&A, but before we head to that from the audience, I just wanted you all to tap in on this one last question, which is just like one piece of advice you would give someone starting out in your field. And then if you have product, a brand, or multiple streams, how can folks support that? And then we will jump over into our Q&A from the audience. So let's start off with Lex Kennedy.
Okay, so we will be launching the Black Film Fest digitally. This year we were excited. When I say we, I mean Evolve and myself. We were super honored and blessed to be able to launch the Black Film Fest during Martin Luther King Jr. weekend here in Los Angeles. And we were able to screen films from Black, queer, trans, gender nonconforming and non-binary folks, films. And we're excited to be able to do it digitally. We were thinking of having it in another physical space for Juneteenth, but we are going to roll that into a digital space. So we'll be hosting the Black Film Fest again, Juneteenth this year. So mark your calendars for that. If you are creative, please reach out to me on Instagram at ICU Sir Lex. I'm really excited about producing retros. What was the other thing I was supposed to talk about, Evolve?
Advice you would give to folks.
Yes, advice. So the advice I would give to folks entering the film and TV news industry is to bet on yourself. There is, what I loved about your presentation is you spoke about the two-sided version, how interviews, are two-way streets, right? You're interviewing that company, you're interviewing that business. At the same time, they're interviewing you. I feel like it is essential to bet on yourself, that you are there for a reason, and there's a reason why you're sitting there, and they want you to be a part of that crew. They want you to be a part of that newsroom. So let that light and that confidence shine, and don't filter yourself, right? The brighter you shine, the brighter the folks around you shine, right? And always remember that.
Thanks, Lex. Shout out to Black Film Fest. That's BLAQ Film Fest, just to let y'all know. Zami. I keep screaming your name like Oprah because I'm hella excited.
I'm excited about that. So if you wanna, I'm in the middle of redoing my website, but my website is spirituswellness.com. I should know that. One advice, always remember your website. But if .com doesn't work, then it's .org. But spirituswellness.com, I believe. And then I sell these shirts that say, "How's your heart today?" My little screen won't let me do it.
Yeah, one is gonna be raffled off today. So shouts out to Zami for the shirt.
Awesome. But how's your heart today? That's one of the questions I ask my clients every single time, my wellness clients every single time that we meet, because I feel it's important to center your heart and your wellness and everything that we do. So how's your heart today, when most wellness and fitness experts are just talking about your body fat? I'm talking about what's going on with your heart and your spirit. So I just wanted to plug that real quick. And then advice, there's two pieces of advice. One piece of advice that I have for folks is to remember that what you do in your past is going to serve you in your future. And I say that because whether you've acted a fool in your past or you were perfect in the past, at some point it's going to come back, and that's going to be what lands you the job or what might make it difficult for you to get that And, you know, in my past, I was very vocal and would pop off here and there. And earlier in my career, I had a reputation of don't mess with Zami, but he's damn good at his job. And so that has served me for 11 years. That is like, he's not someone to mess with, but he is someone to have on your side and work with. And people have seen me grow and develop over the years. And that's how I got my current position as a case manager, and not even working for that agency for 3 months. I've already been promoted to a supervisor now. And that has also served me when it comes to asking for what I'm worth, which is the second advice. You know, you definitely need to ask for what you're worth, and not what you think that you're worth, you know. And the reason why I say that is sometimes I'll say, okay, I think I'm worth being paid $15 or $16 an hour, but I'm actually worth being paid $20. And if I'm not willing to ask for that 20, people are going to continue to take advantage of my labor and my expertise, and I'm going to continue to be burnt out, but not be able to thrive, which is something that I teach other people to do. So if I'm telling other people they need to be able to thrive, know their worth, ask for their worth, then I need to practice that as well. So ask for what you're worth, not just what you think you are. And yes, be authentic and be consistent. Consistency is also key. So again, even if in your past you were popping off and stuff like that, I was consistent in the amount of work that I did, the type of work that I did, you know, and what I produced. And so people always knew, yo, like, I can't dick Zami around. But you know, so folks who had a hard time with being transparent or had a hard time with being challenged, they have to really sit with themselves and be like, oh, I know he's just not going to do what I tell him to do if he don't want to. Because they knew I would be like, yo, that's not what I think is best. This is what I think is best. And I didn't care what your title was. But I was consistent over the years. I've learned how to communicate with a little more sugar. My Fetty Funo Shun with the honey coming through for me. And yeah, I was very consistent. So those are my pieces of advice. I think I answered everything.
You did. Thank you so much, Zami. I thought you were going to say I was consistently popping off. I thought that was coming in your comment. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dio.
That's exactly what I thought. I was you were going to say. Oh yeah. I think in like the example that I gave earlier, I think it's a good example of intention and being sure that you're intentional about everything that you do in your career, right? Because ultimately, I went in with the intention to serve and to be support, right, to others. And everybody else was telling me to be safe, find you a family of two, and you know, move them upstairs so you don't have to worry about nothing. And like, but when you stick to that intentionality and what your purpose is, it will manifest itself. Another thing, to learn from every single experience. I think whether it be good, bad, ugly, terrible, whether it's a bad supervisor, whether it's, you know, a bad neighbor, whether it's whatever it may be, because when you learn from those experiences, it teaches you what not to be when you're in that position at another point, right? And I think especially as I know on the screen, you're going to be, I mean, you are already leaders, right? And at another point, if you're not already, you might be a supervisor, right? You might be managing other people, or you might, right? So we want to make sure that you are modeling what that looks like in the way that you walk and the way that you move through the world, right? Because ultimately, you know, actions and words, right? I could sit here all day and talk about how great I am and whatever, etc. But at the end of the day, if I'm not acting, you know, you should act your actions, right? People shouldn't have to hear them. And that's how I try to move through the world. And yeah, my uncle, he's like one of the people I look up to, and he was always just like, you know, be the example, you know, you can't tell other people what to do. You got to do what you're supposed to be doing, you know, and act accordingly. And I wanted to share too, I shared this with Evolve while I was moving some things around, because, you know, this quarantine got me Marie Kondo out here. I found this letter from my grandpa that he had written. I had taken it when he passed. And it's funny because I don't think if he was alive, you know, me being queer and trans would have probably been a little bit of a struggle. But I definitely believe now that he's on the other side, he's like my biggest supporter and hero. And I think it also relates to, it's funny, this is what he wrote. Now is the time to be authentic. You sell yourself shortly when you deny your inner truth to modify other people. If you are being inauthentic, sooner or later, other people will know. Life behind a mask is lonely, unless it's COVID-19 and you're supposed to be doing it. So remember that. Reducing you to less than the person God created you to be. And so that's something my grandpa wrote. Like, this is a copy, so it was older. I put the physical letter somewhere else. But I just think it's funny because, you know, he's a, you know, straight cis man, but with the most tender heart. And he was talking about authenticity back in 1970 something. And I'm like, my queer self was like, oh, I had it worse. Yeah. So yeah, be authentic in what you do, y'all.
Maisha, top us off before we hit the Q&A.
All right. Wow. That was a really beautiful letter. Thank you for sharing that, Dia. So beautiful. I would say that I feel like I'm like the representative of the traditional pathway. So instead of just speaking for people who are interested in healthcare, medicine, just like if you're interested in the law, if you're interested in going to academia or grad school, any of these traditional careers that were not built for people who are queer and not built for people of color and not built for people who are genderqueer. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to succeed in these structures, you got to have a team. You got to have a squad. And I think we get taught a lot about mentorship and finding mentors. And sometimes those connections can be arbitrary, but I think those connections need to be authentic too. And so it's really about finding the people that you identify with somewhere along the course of your education and reaching out to them. And I'm a little bit of a Luddite. I know LinkedIn, I know it's there, but I feel really strongly about needing to meet with people face to face. And I've met with a lot of professors face to face. Actually, that's how Evolve and I even got reconnected, was through a professor that I met face to face who said that we really needed to get in touch with one another. The piece I think that sometimes gets lost is that someone doesn't need to be older than you or further along than you in their career to help you. And I think one of the things that I've learned is about near peer mentorship and the ways that we can really inspire each other to really live up to our fullest potential. And I have a lot of people in my circle that are just like amazing, creative, intentional, brilliant human beings that inspire me every day. And so, yeah, I would say that. I feel like I have nothing to plug, but not actually. If you have any people in the Bay that are like queer and trans and need a doctor, but I have 2 different practices where I practice. Tell them about me. I'm Googleable. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much. Shouts out to Say No Classics. That's where we used to play basketball. Me and Maisha back in LA.
Back to Say No.
So I just bring that up to say your network, right? Like we connected here, but if I would have elbowed you on the basketball court, this panel might not even be happening, right? So we gotta start from a very young age, y'all. That was a basketball league we were in, like in middle school, high school days. So shouts out to y'all. So I want to send it over to Q&A. Dio, did you have something that you wanted to plug?
I was about to say I'm terrible at plugging. Like, I'm either the worst, best plugger of things. But yes, I want to definitely plug pridestudio.live. We're going to be relaunching this Friday. And it is a platform for queer artists of color. We have 5 artists, particularly that we're working with, who are from the south side of Chicago. And we are extremely excited to have them create and share their content. We're working with the census. The goal was to find a grant, get these people paid, especially during the age of COVID-19. We restructured from having a Pride Festival to an online platform because our goal ultimately is to make sure that like 90% of what we raise goes directly back to folks from the south side of Chicago. So yeah.
Thank you. We will put all that information in a document and send it out to y'all because I know there's a lot of links, a lot of things to make sure that y'all have it. So I want to pass this over to, I believe Mars is doing it.
Actually, I'm going to jump in and do if that's cool, Evolve.
Okay, yep. Cool, Travis.
So just once again, I want to say a very huge thank you to all of our panelists. And right now, actually, we're going to move into just a little bit of Q&A to wrap up our time here today. And really excited that one of the representatives from one of our sponsors this evening, the African American Resource and Cultural Center, will be with us. Sadel Suwalt, she, her pronouns, the interim program coordinator at the African American Resource and Cultural Center. Sadel, I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you do your thing, but everyone please join me in welcoming Sadel as we jump into a little Q&A.
Thank you, Travis, for that intro. So hey, everyone. On behalf of ARC, I just want to say that we are so grateful to have Evolve and all the panelists here for this event. Thank you for sharing all of your experiences and perspectives, and also thank you for everyone attending. So we'll do a quick Q&A, but looking at the time, it looks like we'll only have time for one question. And then after that, we'll go ahead and do the raffle. So the first question we have for y'all is, for anyone who has worked in prison abolitionist work, how did they get into that work? And where is a good starting point to get into that work?
I think that might be just me. So I started, honestly, because I have family members and friends who've been in and out of prison and jail. And part of the reason why I've always worked in some way, shape, or form with people who've been a part of the reentry community. I don't like saying a population, but like the reentry community really is a community, and help one another in so many different ways, and that's their family in and out of facilities. But I got into the work, one, just by, going to court, being witnesses for folks, being a character witness, writing letters as a case manager or advocate or supervisor, and honestly working directly with Department of Corrections. So Department of Corrections has a contract with the agency that I work for and literally pays my salary. And some people are like, how are you a prison abolitionist? But they pay you. But all of my clients and my coworkers know I don't believe in prisons. And part of being able to work directly with Department of Corrections is by explaining to them about triggers, explaining to them about the importance of real rehabilitation, explaining to them about how if someone relapses and they're on parole or probation, relapse is a part of recovery. You can't just violate them and then send them back and expect, all of a sudden their drug habit to go away, because there's more drugs ran through prison than there are on the streets most of the time. And so for me, a lot of the work, the way that I've gotten into it is really I've done trainings with police officers, sheriff's department, even border patrol. And so working directly with the system and not playing games about it. I don't pretend to agree with them. They don't pretend to agree with me. But what I do say is we both have the same goal, and that's for people not to reoffend and go back to prison. My goal is to completely destroy prisons. Your goal is to theoretically empty them out, right? And so if we're working towards the same goal of people not going back to prison, then we have to learn how to create a system and a re-entry point that supports, teaches them how to thrive and teaches them how to shift that narrative. So if you're trying to figure out how to do that, I have a master's in social work. Social work is a great way to do it. Working with young people, a majority of my career was working with young people, and that helped me get into that work as well. And so really advocating for youth and young adults. So yeah, that's the way that I got into it and how I found myself to be as successful with doing some shifts.
Great, thank you so much for that answer. So now we're gonna move on to the raffle. We have a ton of really amazing prizes. So for the first one we're gonna give out, it is the Boy Born Obviously Incredible hoodie from Evolve Benton. I believe Sir Lex is actually wearing it right now. It's a beautiful mustard yellow. So the person who is going to win that prize, if they're still here, is Laura Haldane, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Are you still here, Laura?
Oh my gosh, that's one of my students from SAIC. Laura, shout out.
Hey, okay, great. Awesome.
Yay, Laura. Go, Laura.
Can I break in to ask where folks might be able to purchase that sweater?
Yes. You can check out evolvebenton.com. That's Evolve, EVOLVE, Benton, BENTON.com, and just click on store or click on BOI Gear, BOI Gear, and you can grab that. If you email me, I can also send you over a discount code, so we can lower that a little bit. But if you don't want to email me and you like, I don't need to know all that, Evolve, you could just put in 25 off, and you'll get free shipping on that order.
Great, thank you. So then the next prize we have that we're going to give out is a t-shirt from Spiritus Wellness that says, "How's your heart today?" We mentioned that earlier. It's a beautiful green color. And so the winner of this prize is Lex Thomas. Is Lex Thomas still here?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Perfect. Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the last prize we have are three handmade filtration masks from Pride South Side Studio. And there's some really great patterns and colors. So the person who's going to win those masks is Stephanie Mora. Is Stephanie Mora still here?
That's hilarious. 2 out of 3 my homies won. Shout out to y'all.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, that concludes the raffle. Congrats to all the winners.
Thank you. I know the panel's over, but I could kick it for a little bit if folks need.
Did you want to answer more questions, Theo?
If folks are open, but if not, we don't have to. I mean, whatever.
I'm open.
Yeah.
If y'all want to. I know we only got through one, so.
Sure.
If it's cool, this is Travis again. I'm just going to jump in. What I could do is wrap up like the program and end the recording. And then any of the panelists who want to stick around and any of the students who want to stick around can. But this way too, like the recording's off. If that's cool with everybody. And
that's perfect.
We'll wrap up the formal element of it. But then let y'all stick around if you'd like to check in if that's cool. If that works.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks so much again. Really want to say very, very special thank you to all of our panelists today. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Lex, Maisha, Zami, Theo, Evolve, Maisha, y'all are amazing. Thank you. And special shout out to all of the sponsors for this event, the Career Success Center, the African American Resource and Cultural Center, the Lionel Cantu Queer Resource Center, and then I know we have Rhonda Kennard here from Alumni and University Relations. Rhonda, thank you so much for coming through. It's always good to see you. And thank you for students for making time in your lives to show up and be here tonight. Appreciate y'all. Really quickly, I want to turn it over to Taylor because Taylor, I know you have just a few words to say regarding a survey that will be going out to folks. And then additionally, I want to let everybody know we did record tonight's session. So if you all want us to send that out to you, we can do that. As well as there was one other thing I want to say while I think about that, Taylor. Let me turn it over to you real quick.
No problem. So all attendees, I will be adding you into Handshake, and through there you will be receiving a survey, and it's just a quick survey, and it's just, we've been surveying all the different series just to see what we want to do for next year's events and how to improve this series and make it better and better every year. So thank you for taking the time to fill that out. And thank you all so much for being here, and thanks to the panelists.
Absolutely. And then the last thing I wanted to share is that if you want a raffle prize, we'll follow up with you via email to make sure that we get the right sizes. If we need things sized, there's a reason we didn't purchase things ahead of time, because we wanted to make sure that y'all got to choose how your clothes fit and all that. So that was the very last thing I wanted to say that I did remember. So again, thank you all so much. This has been our pleasure to host. I'll keep the Zoom open. Taylor and I will keep the meeting open. I may wander off a little bit, so whatever, but I'll end the recording here. Thanks again to everyone. This has been an absolute pleasure. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Travis. I appreciate you.